Well, disciplined investors who have saved well and played by the rules could be risking a substantial portion of their wealth over the course of their retirement journey by heeding outdated, one-size-fits-all advice being dished out by America's financial gurus. David McKnight, author of a new book titled The Guru Gap, joins us right after this. Stick around. I'm Ron DeLegge with ETF Guide. Great to have you with us. Financial gurus like Dave Ramsey, Suze Orman, and others have amassed followers in the millions. And while some of their advice has been useful to some, other pieces are inadequate and in certain cases incomplete for those who really want to maximize their retirement assets. Here to elaborate is David McKnight, a best-selling financial author, and his latest title is The Guru Gap: How America's Financial Gurus Are Leading You Astray and How to Get Back on Track. Dave, great to see you again, and thanks for joining us.
Hey, Ron. Thanks for having me.
So in comparing the Guru Gap to your previous titles, this might be your most controversial book to date, and that's because it attacks the financial establishment. So what motivated you to write The Guru Gap?
Well, it's interesting. Back in 1997, when I first started out as a financial advisor, if I was sort of shepherding a client through the process, there were a couple of things they could do to sort of vet out my recommendations. They could talk to their father-in-law, they could talk to their neighbor, they could talk to their tax preparer, whatever. But rarely would those types of conversations sort of derail our planning process. Well, today we live in a totally different world, 2024. And, when my clients vet out my recommendations, they take to the internet and when they do a Google search, who should rise to the top of the search results? But the people with the biggest platforms, the loudest voices, the biggest followings, these are our financial gurus. So in this book, I focus on Dave Ramsey, Suze Orman, Ken Fisher, a guy named Clark Howard, who back when I graduated from college was like the Dave Ramsey of the world. He was on every radio station across the country. And then sort of a Johnny-come-lately by the name of Ramit Sethi. He's got the Netflix documentary. He's got the, the best-selling book. And what these gurus tend to do is they've got to sort of fashion their message in such a way that appeals to wide varieties of demographics. And so they tend to distill really important and sometimes complicated financial principles into sort of 10-second sound bites in an attempt to sort of make everybody feel like they're speaking directly to their situation. And the problem with that is it's simply impossible to do that when you have people from a wide variety of socioeconomic backgrounds. And I tend to say that financial guru advice is good for bad investors, but bad for good investors. And so really what I'm trying to combat in writing this book is this one size fits all, paint by the numbers, black and white sort of financial advice that's dispensed by these financial gurus, because it most of the time runs counter to the individualized, customized, tailored advice that most Americans need to be able to wring the most efficiency out of their retirement savings.
David McKnight joining us. The Guru Gap is his latest book. It's available at Amazon.com. Pick up a copy. Now, your book really hammers on the distinction between one-size-fits-all opinion-based financial and retirement planning advice versus fact-based mathematical planning. Tell us more.
Well, I don't want this book to be completely about Dave Ramsey. It's not about Dave Ramsey. Sometimes when people interview me, they think it's about Dave Ramsey, but I do pick on Dave Ramsey a fair amount in this book because I think that he sort of is the most egregious example of what I think is wrong with financial gurus. But Dave Ramsey is all about hope and an inspiration, which I think is important. I think that if you're making $50,000 but you're spending $60,000, Dave Ramsey's precisely the type of person that you should be talking to right about now. But Dave Ramsey, not long ago, he put out a video where he sort of excoriated his co-host George Kamel for preaching the 4% rule. And the 4% rule, of course, says that you can never take out more than 4% of your beginning retirement balance in retirement, adjusted every year thereafter for inflation. And he seems to think that you can do 8%. And the reason he thinks that you can do 8% is because you're going to get linear 12% returns year over year over year in retirement. And so if you can get 12% rates of return and you can take out 8% withdrawal rates in violation of every academic study that's ever been done over the last 4 decades, then you just don't have to save all that much to be able to reach your retirement goals. However, if conversely you agree with the person who wrote the foreword for my book, Dr. Wade Pfau, he says that you should expect, closer to 9% and maybe, a 4% or even lower withdrawal rate assumption in retirement, then you're going to have to save quite a bit more. And that's Dave Ramsey, for example, says that steals people's hope. It doesn't really fire their imagination. And so really, this is a book that's about in some cases, the emotion that's being peddled by financial gurus and the math that's being peddled by the PhDs on the other hand.
So financial gurus, as you know, say a lot of things. And sometimes that financial advice that they give is totally wrong or incomplete or not really applicable to a person's real situation. So can you maybe give us an example or examples of this that we have seen financial gurus spew?
Yeah, you bet. I'm going to pick on Dave Ramsey again. Dave Ramsey, much like me, believes that tax rates in the future are likely to be higher than they are today. And so he does occasionally opine on Roth conversions. And Ron, you and I both believe Roth conversions are good. And so, when you do a deep dive on gurus, you learn everything they've ever said on a given financial topic. And so I researched Dave Ramsey quite profoundly when it came to Roth conversions. And what I found sort of shocked me to my core. Dave Ramsey, for example, says that if you are within 5 years of retirement, you should not consider doing a Roth conversion. Well, Wade Pfau, who wrote the foreword for the book, he says that he was absolutely shocked when he read that in the manuscript. And he says Dave Ramsey is almost 180 degrees wrong on this. He says if you were any more wrong on this, you'd be veering his way back towards right again. He says that when you approach retirement, many cases your tax bracket will go down when you hit retirement, and that's precisely when you should consider doing a Roth conversion. Dave Ramsey also says never do a Roth conversion unless you have the cash with which to pay the tax on the Roth conversion. And Wade Pfau says, well, that's generally true. There's lots of different scenarios in which you should do a Roth conversion if you don't have the cash on hand. And then the final one is Dave Ramsey says never bump up into another tax bracket if you are doing a Roth conversion, which is completely tone deaf to the Trump tax cuts of 2017. We know the 22% tax bracket goes up to about $201,000, but for an extra 2% more, you could convert all the way up to about $383,000. It only costs you 2% more. That truly is, that 24% tax bracket truly is the sweet spot in the Trump tax cuts. Yet Dave Ramsey uses that tax bracket as a poster child for why you should not bump up into the next highest tax bracket. So those are 3 examples of a pretty important topic like Roth conversions where Dave Ramsey is just sort of flailing all over the place and just spewing sort of nonsense that doesn't have it's not really rooted in any academic data at all.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Now, at the same time, too, your book also praises to some degree the financial gurus that have come around on Roth IRAs and have realized that, wait a second, Roth IRAs are pretty darn good. Talk about that.
Yeah, I really like Suze Orman. I have a few quibbles with her because she doesn't recommend that people avail themselves of, I think, the full financial toolbox. She's got she demonizes, for example, annuities and in some cases cash value life insurance where it could really be appropriate. But she really does think that tax rates, and she's quoted as saying tax rates 10 years from now are going to skyrocket. So you should be thinking about Roth IRAs. You should be thinking about Roth 401ks. You should be thinking about Roth conversions. And those types of statements really warm the cockles of my heart because I believe, as does former Comptroller General of the federal government, David Walker, that tax rates, even in the next 10 years, are likely to rise dramatically or we could go broke as a nation. And so I think Suze Orman and I are really sort of kindred spirits in that regard. And I really admire her for, she hasn't always sort of preached tax-free, but she really has updated her paradigm as she's sort of seen the fiscal trajectory of the nation sort of cartwheel off the tracks.
Before we let you go, this book, The Guru Gap, where can people find it, and what type of people was this book aimed for?
Yeah, you can get it on Amazon or pretty much wherever you buy fine books. And it's basically geared towards the sophisticated, disciplined investor who, if they were to implement the advice of some of these financial gurus, in many cases, would run out of money years in advance of life expectancy. And, give you an example. If you were to follow Dave Ramsey's advice of the 8% withdrawal rate and 100% stock allocation, according to Wade Pfau and all of the Monte Carlo studies he's done, you would run out of money in advance of life expectancy 63% of the time. And so these are serious, there's serious implications when you follow this advice. And so really, like I said, guru advice is good for bad investors, but bad for good investors. And so if you sort of see yourself as being a good investor and you do want to wring the most efficiency out of your retirement savings, dramatically increase the likelihood that your money lasts as long as you do, then this book is for you.
Well, we're going to leave it there. Dave, thanks for taking the time to join us, and success with your new book.
Thanks so much, Ron.
How did you enjoy today's episode? Let us know in the comments section below. And hit that like button if you've been enjoying our content. Check out The Guru Gap by David McKnight. It's available at Amazon.com, as well as fine bookstores everywhere. Go get your copy. I'm Ron DeLegge. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next episode.